Because we've been on this beat for a few weeks now. The Fighter and the Kid live show in Austin is something that's fascinating to me because just kind of out of nowhere they proclaimed we're doing a once a month live show in Austin. The first one didn't sell any tickets, and while they were there, they kept teasing the next one. The next one sold even less tickets. Our count was about 21. I don't know how accurate that final tally ended up being, but that's what it seems like. And then, wouldn't you know it, just in the nick of time, Brian Callen remembered, gosh darn it, don't you hate when these things slip your mind? His wife's pregnant. His wife was crowning, and somehow that information escaped him. He couldn't remember. So they had to cancel the show. By the way, I don't know if Brian has had his kid yet. And there's also something great at the beginning of this episode. They tease Brian's like, listen, I just can't leave California other than the Vancouver dates I promoted. I just can't do it. Also, if you could see me in Oklahoma City in 2 weeks. So he's getting as close to Texas as he can. It's crazy. So they're caught in this clear lie, and it's weird that they keep doing this because all I'm asking for is that they just admit what's going on. Like, hey guys, the podcast used to be really popular by comparison to the global podcast landscape. It's still a successful podcast.
It's gigantic in that scale, actually.
But it's not as successful as it used to be, which is totally fine. That happens sometimes. So that, we can't go out and do live shows every single month at the same venue. It's just not feasible for us. Instead, they come up with these lies. Now, you may remember Brendan Schaub quit stand-up. Do you remember why that was?
His kid was sick, and you need to focus on being a dad.
Yeah, Craig, like a real sucker, got all glassy-eyed when Brendan was telling his story, and he was
crying in the waiting room.
Well, that's to the commoner, to the common rube. That's what you might think. Yeah. Yes, but I said I don't know. It's a little weird. He pressed play on the video. Yep. He didn't have to be crying, right?
Well, the way I logically explained it was he had dates he had to cancel, and he had to tell them as soon as possible. That's how my brain was working through that.
Yeah, definitely. No, that's definitely why. Well, until it isn't, when Jelly Roll is on the podcast, and Brendan explains why he quit stand-up comedy.
But I think, too, Jelly, where I connect with you, like,
Jelly,
we're on the same vibe, like, same thing last
Listen, Gel.
I think,
if I could get real with you, Gel, for a moment.
Hey, Jelly.
Mr. Roll, please, if I could bend your ear.
Thing too, Jelly, where I connect with you, like we're on the same vibe, like same thing last year, just hustling. And I stopped and I was like, I don't like who I'm becoming because everything, and I don't know how to balance it. Like I didn't know what to do. I had to call my manager, Lex, who's been with me for 17 years. I told him, I said, I don't know what to do, Doug. Like I'm always been a good dad, but I can be a much better dad. I'm a decent husband. I can be much better. I'm a
super dad.
And this is starting to not sound like what he told us.
If I don't have a job, I could be the greatest dad on the planet. Yeah, you think he's drifting away from the story a little bit?
Yeah, didn't this guy he's talking to just, become like one of the biggest artists on earth?
Yes, yeah. And Brendan's somehow relating to him. He's like, you know what, you and me, Jelly, we're just guys who don't work.
We're a couple of same guys.
Podcast would be much better.
Oh, I need to rewind. That part is funny.
You think we're about to hear some contradiction?
We're about to hear some extreme back patting.
I'm always been a good dad, but I can be a much better dad. I'm a decent husband. I can be much better. I'm a good podcaster. I can be much better. And I'm
a good. You know what, Brendan? You're a great podcaster, buddy.
No, I think he's right.
I don't understand this logic. So if he doesn't go to Nashville or whatever the other dates he canceled, so he doesn't go to Nashville. Suddenly, the Fighter and the Kid gets better.
Yeah,
when he's home on Monday.
Yeah.
It's always good for a podcast when you have less stories to tell. When you live less of a life.
Right. Dang it.
What are we doing?
I was like, I'm about to break, Doug.
Right.
I don't know what to do.
Yeah. Spread
So we get spread too thin.
Yeah.
Spread too thin.
Brian talking like a war veteran.
Let me chill for a second.
Why can't we stop here? What's going on? There we go.
I couldn't hear you.
Brian talking like an old boy. We just can't take it anymore. How do we keep going at the rate we're going?
He's like walking up to the Tin Man, putting oil in his joints. He's like, "Come on, Brendan, we got some more pennies to make."
Listen, I'll never say Brendan Schaub's lazy. Like that, he's absolutely not lazy. He is a hardworking guy. And to be as successful in the fields he's in with as little experience and talent that he has, like that's an inspirational story. That's what I've said about Brendan Schaub all along, is it's a real, like, he faked his way into being one of the most successful podcasters for a period of time. Like,
yeah,
that's pretty awesome if you think of it that way. So, like, Brendan's definitely a hard worker, but what they're ignoring is, you told us your kid was dying. Remember? You said you canceled these dates because you didn't know if your kid was going to live. Remember when you had tears streaming down your face and you're like, my child's going to die, so please don't make fun of me for canceling these dates? What happened to that? All of a sudden, it's because you want to be a better podcaster.
And hand up, I ate it all up. I believed him.
Well, Craig's a born sucker. But a lot of you people told me not to make fun of Brendan at that time. And I said, okay, but, you know, I think something's amiss here. Now, the other angle of this is that Brendan is still traveling. If we didn't all remember that Brian was having a kid, they would have been in Austin. And he travels for that Toontown show, the car show.
Mm-hmm.
He's out flipping trucks, and he can't fly safely to Nashville to do stand-up, but he can drift his vehicles and flip them over. That's no problem.
It's no better way to be there for your kid than die in a car crash.
Yeah, you know what? I could be a better father by getting into extreme driving. They always say what a great dad Evel Knievel was to his boy.
And he goes and gets shot by a cannonball or something.
Yeah.
Analyze and try to figure this stuff up and then get back to it. And since I've been off the road, like, never been in better shape, never been a better dad. Like, I coach my son's baseball team, football team.
With us now.
Oh yeah, he's on spring break.
Yeah.
Like, I've never been happier. Yeah. Because it's just, to your point, and yours is on a much grander scale, so I can only imagine. But even with me, like, running the businesses, all the business I do, I just call my manager, and he knows me. Like, I don't say shit. I'm, this, pretty mentally tough. This, and I was like, I don't know.
You know me. I'm unshakable. This is a man who brought unique to court.
That's right.
You know me. I'm Teflon. Everything just bounces right off to me. There's really no getting to me. It's just, this right here, an impenetrable force. This mind. You're not breaking through that.
The funniest thing is Jelly Roll's like, dude, shut up. Don't compare me to you.
You know what, Jelly Roll? You're kind of the Brendan Schaub of country music.
Hey, Jelly.
I just call my manager, and he knows me. Like, I don't say shit. I'm, this, pretty mentally tough. This, and I was like, I'm about to break, Doug.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means, but I need help.
You don't know what it means. You're the one saying it.
What does that mean exactly?
This is where people get on your case, Brendan. And Brian's just as bad, honestly. Where it's like, just say, like, hey, yeah, it sucks. We had to cancel dates because people weren't going, unfortunately. If you guys want to see us live, next time we put something on sale, make sure you buy tickets right away. Don't wait till day of, because we need to see that there's a reason for us to go out there. So make sure you support the boys. Plain and simple. Like, yeah. I think this is maybe the perspective you lose when you reach a certain level of success. But, like, if we did a live show and it was 3 days before and 3 tickets were sold, I would say, hey, guys, I guess we're just not at the point where we can do a live show. It doesn't make any sense. Or we would just do it with 3 people, and that might be funny,
That'd be hilarious.
But when you reach a certain level, I guess maybe you can't bring yourself to be that self-deprecating, Yeah.
That's
the tortured world that Brendan Schaub lives in.
I enjoy watching him live in it.
It's very weird, but it was also hilarious to hear them promote dates before that, and Brian be like, "I'm in Oklahoma City, right next to Texas. I'm there, April 26th or something like that."
So I was just thinking about this the other day because Dan Soder will be like, I was going to this and I sold like no tickets.
Yeah.
He'll just come out and say it, and everyone's like, it happens.
Well, they say that because they actually did sell tickets. Because I hear Joe List do that all the time, and I think it's actually to like their detriment, where people think they're less successful than they are.
Yeah.
But they're saying like, hey, in a 500 seat room, I only sold 350 tickets or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're not. What the problem is, and the reason Brian and Brendan can't admit this is, they're in a 500 seat room and sold 21 tickets. They literally, percentage wise, sold no tickets. So
that's tough.
So that's the tough thing. I do get why that's harder to admit than other comics. Like, oh, because when Dan Soder says that, in his mind, he's like, I'm not as successful as Andrew Schultz and Chris DiStefano and guys I came up with,
Right.
But these guys are saying we're significantly less successful when compared to ourselves 5 years ago. That's what's tough for them, I imagine. So, yeah, the fighter and the kid continue to lie for some reason about the reason they're doing less and less. Because, some of you were fooled by Brendan's tears, but I knew it was just so that he could become a better podcaster. That's why he couldn't go to Nashville.
Wouldn't they sleep better if they were just like, yeah, we didn't sell?
Right, because then you're not hiding anything. The reason they get so worked up with Reddit, like, believe me, every subreddit of every podcast is a hellscape. No, if you host a podcast, you shouldn't visit your own subreddit because they never like the podcast they're talking about. But the reason it doesn't bother other people as much as it does Brendan and Brian and people like that is because Brendan and Brian are hiding things about themselves. Whereas, Big J. Okerson gets made fun of on the bonfire, but it's for him being himself. Like, that's just who he is as a podcaster. So he can't look at any of that criticism and really tweak it, because it would be just changing who he is. Brendan and Brian look at the fighter and the kid subreddit, and a lot of it is vicious and unnecessary, but a lot of it is them seeing through their bullshit.
Yeah, I was going to say,
and that's what Brendan doesn't like to acknowledge.
If they just said, by the way, our guest was here and he just left.
Oh, no.
I didn't say anything yet because his camera was off. It was on and it turned off, so I thought he was running to the bathroom or something.
I mean, come back.
I messaged him and I said, just one sec. Okay. I don't even remember what I was saying. That kind of threw me there.
I don't know. We were talking about Reddit, the fighter and the kid. Brendan and Brian.
If they, another thing that would help them is if they came out and just said, "Hey, we didn't sell tickets." It takes the Reddit's ammo away.
That's exactly, yeah, right. I mean, they'll post a video like, "Oh, they didn't sell a ticket," but it's like, yeah, they got out in front of it. They said it. Now, like, Lieutenant Kirk isn't sending me DMs like, "Look at this seating chart," because I'd be like, "No, I know. They said it on their podcast."
So funny.
We don't have to detect what's happening.
It's just funny that it's him sending you that. I don't know why.
He's our correspondent, our fighter and the kid correspondent.
That's right. He was also he was doing a correspondence for something else that he was. Was it Marin or something like that?
Oh yeah, he's our Marin guy. He's very helpful.
He is.
Yeah,
he is.
All right. Well.